Hello viewers, my name is Songa Zomtati from Woma High School at Nelson Mandela District. Welcome to the Eastern Cape Department of Education broadcast studio. Our today's lesson, it will be on arithmetic and geometric sequence. Okay, now we need to understand what is a sequence first. A sequence is an arrangement of numbers, shapes, or mathematical objects that are arranged according to a certain rule in a predictable manner. That simply means if we are working with sequences, we are working with arrangements, we are working with a rule, we are working with prediction. That simply means for it to consider that this is a sequence, it must be predictable, or there must be a rule. Okay, now let's go straight to the arithmetic and the geometric sequence. An arithmetic sequence, it is a sequence with the first constant difference, where the first constant difference is denoted by D. To determine D, it is term 2 minus term 1, or term 3 minus term 2, or any term, or any next term minus the previous term. Now, in a sequence, if ever you have an arithmetic sequence, you have to make sure that the consecutive terms gives you a constant difference. Let's consider this sequence where you have 3, 5, and 7. In that sequence, if you say 5 minus 3, that will give you 2. If you say 7 minus 5, that will give you 2. So we can reach a conclusion whereby we can say this is an arithmetic sequence because the consecutive terms have the constant difference. To determine the constant difference, you need at least a minimum of three terms. Okay, in an arithmetic sequence, to obtain the next term, you add the constant difference to the previous term. Let's go back to the example that we had. We had 3, 5, and 7. Now, to get the next term, it's going to be 7 plus 2, because 2 is our constant difference. That will give us 9. And it will be 9 plus 2. That will give us 11. So that's how we get the next term. If you can see that in that first term, which was 3, to get 5, we added 2. That simply means it was 3 plus 2, that is 5. 5 plus 2, it's 7. 7 plus 2, it's 9. 9 plus 2 is equals to 11. Okay, now let's check the geometric sequence. A geometric sequence, it is a sequence with the constant ratio. That simply means when you divide the two consecutive terms, you must get a ratio that is constant. Okay, and the first constant ratio is denoted by R in a geometric sequence. To get R, it is term 2 divided by term 1, term 3 divided by term 2, term 4 divided by term 3. Now, if you notice, it is always the next term divided by the previous term. Okay, let's consider this example. You have 1, 5, and 25. If you say 5 divided by 1, that will give you 5. If you say 25 divided by 5, that will also give you 5. So we can proudly say that this is a geometric sequence because the ratio is constant. In a geometric sequence, to get to the next term, you multiply the previous term by the constant ratio. Okay, let's go back to our example. You have 1, 5, and 25. Now, if you have 1 multiplied by the constant ratio, which is 5, that gives you 5. 5 multiplied by 5, that gives you 25. 25 multiplied by 5, that gives you 125. 125 multiplied by 5, that gives you 625. That's how we obtain the next term in a geometric sequence. In an arithmetic sequence, the first term is always A. It is denoted as A. Now remember in the previous slide what we said. We said if you have the first term in an arithmetic sequence and you know that this sequence is an arithmetic sequence, to get the next term, you add the constant difference. And remember that we said the constant difference is denoted by D. Now, if you have term 1, which is A, that simply means to get the next term, it will be the first term plus the constant difference, which is D. So A is equals to A plus, term 2 is equal to A plus D. And term 3, it will be A plus D plus the constant difference, which is D. So you will obtain a plus 2d. Now remember what we said. We said in a sequence, when we work with a sequence, we work with prediction. That simply means you can get any term. If you notice, if you are in term 1, there is no D. If you're in term 2, you have 1 D. If you're in term 3, you have 2 Ds. That simply means if you are in term 17, it will be A plus 16D. If you are in any term, you must know that it will be the first term, which is A plus the previous number. It may be, let me go back to that T17. It is T17, so that simply means it's the first term, which is A plus 16D. So that's how we obtain the general term, which is Tn is equals to A plus into n minus 1D. So we call this the general sequence for all the arithmetic sequences. And also we have this, which is the general formula for all arithmetic sequences. So this always works in all arithmetic sequences. This works in all arithmetic sequences. And also to obtain term 1, you don't have to memorize that. You can also use the general formula, which is Tn is equals to A plus into n minus 1D. So in that case, you can say if you are looking for term 1, you substitute in the value of n by 1. That will be 1 minus 1 gives you 0, and then 0 multiplied by d gives you 0. So you're left with A. If you are looking for term 3, it will be 3 minus 1. That gives you 2, and therefore 2d. Therefore, you are left with A plus 2d. So you do not have to memorize the general sequence of an arithmetic sequence. Now, in the general formula that we obtained, n represents the position or the number of terms, and n is always the element of natural numbers. That simply means n cannot be a decimal, or n cannot be a negative number. Tn, it is an nth term. We can say in simple words, Tn gives you the value of a particular term. Okay, I want to emphasize this part of n and Tn because learners are confusing n and Tn when they are asked a question in exams. They become confused if they are looking for n or they are looking for Tn. Now, if you are looking for n, the question will always say which term. So the question will always say, if you are looking for n, the question will always say which term will be equals to. That simply means in that case they are asking for the position. But if you are looking for Tn, which is the value, the question will be determine the value of the sequence. In that general formula that we have, which is Tn is equals to A plus into n minus 1D, we know that A stands for the first term and D stands for the constant difference. But what about n and Tn? N stands for the position or the number of terms. And remember that n is always the element of natural numbers, meaning n cannot be a negative or n cannot be a decimal. Okay, let's come to Tn. Tn, it is an nth term, or we can say in simple words, Tn gives you the value of a particular term. Now, I want to emphasize this of n and Tn. Okay, you have n and then you have Tn. In the exams, learners are confused if the question is asking for n or is asking for Tn. Okay, if they are looking for Tn, they will always say which term will give you which term will give you the value of maybe negative 260 something. But if they are looking for the position, if they are looking for the value of a particular term, the answer will be determine the value of the term, determine the value of 26th term. Let me make an example. Determine the value of 26th term. Determine the value of 26th term. Okay, or they will say determine term 26. Determine term 26. Determine term 26. Hope you say that, but it's what I'm saying. Determine term 26. Now I want you to notice something. If they are looking for the value, it will be if they're looking for the value of a particular term, it will always be a number followed by term, or term followed by a number. That simply means they gave you the term number, but what they are looking for the value of that particular term. Okay, now let's go to geometric sequence. In a geometric sequence, the first term, it is always A. And then remember what we said. We said in a geometric sequence, to get the next term, you add the constant, you multiply. In a geometric sequence, you multiply the previous term by the constant ratio. So you have the first term, which is A. Now to get the next term, that simply means to get term 2, it will be A multiplied by R, so that gives you term 2, which is equals to AR. If you are looking for term 3, it will be A multiplied by AR, so that gives you AR to the power of 2. Now remember, this is a sequence. We work with prediction. So we can say if it's term 16, remember, let's go back. If it's term 1, there is no R. If it's term 2, there is R with the exponent of 1. If it's term 3, there is R with the exponent of 2. If it's term 16, that simply means it will be R with the exponent of 5. So we can reach a general formula where we have Tn is equals to AR to the power of n minus 1. Learners are not allowed, you do not have to memorize this, which is the general formula, or maybe the general sequence, because you can also use the general formula, which is Tn is equals to AR to the power of n minus 1. Now, if you are looking for term 1, you're going to say, okay, let me just write that very quickly, correctly. Okay. If you have the general formula, which is AR to the power of n minus 1. Now, if you are looking for term 3, you can simply substitute by 3 in the place of n. So you will get 3 minus 1. That gives you 2. So you have AR to the power of 2. Okay. Even on this general formula, which is Tn is equals to AR to the power of n minus 1. N stands for the position or the number of terms, and n is always an element of natural numbers. N cannot be a decimal, or n cannot be a negative. And Tn, it is an nth term, which gives a particular it gives a value of a particular term. Okay. Now, I'm not going to dwell much on n and Tn because we did an arithmetic sequence. Let's go to the next slide. Let's go and attempt few questions. Okay. Now, in the first question, or the first example, the 5th term of an arithmetic sequence is 0, and the 13th term is equals to 16. Okay, grade 12, when you are attempting the questions of sequences and series, you have to read the statement so that you can understand. Don't just browse the statement. Make sure that you read the information and then you interpret it, you break the information down. If you are required maybe to look for 2 values, that simply means you have to have 2 equations. If you have to look for 2 values. For example, if the question says determine the value of the constant difference and also the value of term 1, that simply means you are looking for 2 values in that case, or you are looking for 2 unknowns. So if you are looking for 2 unknowns, make sure that you have 2 equations and you use the information that is given. In sequences, this is very simple. They will give you an information in the exams, and then what you have to do, you have to come with the information that you know that is relevant to the information that is given in the question paper. For example, let's go to this question. The 5th term of an arithmetic sequence is 0. So that simply means term 5 is equals to 0. Term 5 is equals to 0. And the 13th term is equals to 16. T13 is equals to 16. So this is what they told you. What do you know about this information in an arithmetic sequence? You ask yourself a question. What do you know? You know that T5 from the general sequence, T5 is equals to A plus 40. You have that in an arithmetic sequence. You know that you have A plus 40. Okay, now T13 is equals to 16. So that simply means you know in a general sequence that T13 is equals to A plus 12D. Remember what I said. You do not have to memorize the general sequence. You can also use the formula, which is Tn is equals to A plus into N minus 1D. So you are linking the information that it's been given to you with the information that you know. Now, if you notice T5 is equals to 0 and T5 is equals to A plus 40, that simply means A plus 40 is equals to 0. That gives you equation 1. Okay, and then also if you notice you have T13 equals to 16 and T13 equals to A plus 12D. That simply means A plus 12D is equals to 16. Okay, now you have two equations. This is equation 2. Let's go back and read the question. Determine the common difference of the sequence. Now, this is an arithmetic sequence. In an arithmetic sequence, when you are looking for the constant difference, you subtract. That simply means we can say equation 2 minus equation 1. So if we say equation 2 minus equation 1, that will be A plus 12D. A plus 12D is equals to 16 minus, which is equation 1, A plus 40 equals to 0. So you will say A minus A gives you 0. 12 minus 4, that gives you 12 minus 4, that gives you 8D. So you have 8D equals to 16 minus 0, that gives you 16 divided by 8 divided by 8. And therefore, D, it is equals to 2. You see how to reach the answer. It is very easy if you read the information and link it with what you know, because they will ask you something that you know. What you have to do, you just have to read the information, link it with what you know, and then you create two equations, and then you solve the question. Okay, let's go to the next question. Let's go to the next question. And the next question, okay, you have calculated the first term of the sequence. Remember, the first term of the sequence, it is A. That simply means they require you to calculate the value of what? The value of A. Now, you have the constant difference, which is D from the previous question. That simply means you're going to use the formula that you have, which is you're going to take one of the equations from the previous slide or from the previous question, one of the equations. Okay, the first equation, it was A plus 4D equals to 0. Now you have A, you are looking for A, but you know that the value of D is equals to, the value of D is equals to 2, equals to 0. So you have A plus 8 equals to 0. Now that will be A equals to negative 8. That is the value of A. So you have negative 8. Okay, you have negative 8, which is your first term. Okay, this one was very easy. Okay, let's go to the next question very quick. Let's go to the next question. Okay, and the next question. Determine the general term of the sequence. You have the constant difference, which is D. You have the value of A, which is negative 8. Now you're going to use the general formula, which is Tn is equals to A plus into N minus 1D. Now, you have the value of A, which is negative 8, plus into N minus 1. You have the value of you have the value of t, which is negative 8. Okay, let's correct that. That is wrong. Okay, let's correct this. Okay, now determine the general term of the sequence. You're going to use the general formula, which is Tn is equals to A plus into n minus 1d. Now, the value of A is equals to negative 8, and the value of d is equals to 2. So you're going to simplify that. You get negative 8 plus, you multiply this n by 2, and you multiply n by negative 1. So that will be negative 8 plus 2n minus 2. So that is 2n minus 10. That is your final answer. Now, if you notice, these questions, they are very easy. Why? Because we read the question, we link the question with what we know. This is what they're going to ask you in the exams. What you have to do, it is to link the information that you know with the information that they have been given you. That's easy. Okay, that's the last question for this lesson. Let's see. Which term of the sequence will be equals to negative 23? Now, I want you to recall what I said before. I said if they are looking for n, they're going to say which term. If they are looking for Tn, they will say determine the value of term 23, or they will say determine 21st term. So that simply means if they are looking for the value, they're going to give you the term number. And the term number is followed by the term, or it is the term followed by the value. Okay, now which term will be equals to? Which term of the sequence, which is this sequence, will be equals to negative 23? So first we have to find out which sequence are we dealing with, because that's the mistake that we do in the exams. We always jump in the question without checking if the sequence is arithmetic or geometric. 13 minus 15, that gives us negative 2. 11 minus 13, that gives us negative 2. So we can conclude that this is an arithmetic sequence. Going to bring all the information that we know about arithmetic sequence. So that is Tn is equals to A plus into n minus 1d. Okay, so they gave you Tn. That simply means they gave you a value of a particular term. Now we are looking for that term number. So that is negative 23 is equals to A. The first term is 15. The first term is 15. The first term is 15 plus into n, we are looking for n, minus 1, the constant difference, that is negative 2. Now we solve for n. Make sure that you multiply by negative 2 to both terms, because that is a monomial multiplied by a binomial. So 23 is equals to 15 minus 2n minus 2. So that is negative 23 is equals to 15 minus 2, that gives us 13. So we have negative 2. We have negative 2. Oh, so that is negative 2, sorry. So if you notice there is a mistake. It is negative 2 multiplied by negative 1. That gives us positive 2. Now you have negative 2n, which is 15 plus 2. That gives us positive 17. So you have positive 17. You're taking negative 2 across the equal sign and this across the equal sign. You're going to have 2n equals to 17 plus 23. So that is 2n is equals to 40 divided by 2 divided by 2. And therefore you have n equals to 20. Okay, now that will be the end of our session for today. Make sure that you analyze the question all the time, and make sure that you link it with the information that you know, and then you create two equations. You do not have to memorize the general sequence. You can also use the general formula. And also make sure that you read the question thoroughly in the exams, and also you link it with the information that you know. And do not forget that if ever you are looking for two unknowns, you have to create two equations with the information that you have and the information that has been given to you. You can leave your questions in the comment section. Do not forget to mention your school so that we can shout out to you. Please recommend, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. See you in the next section, which will be on questions related to geometric sequence.